In the world of Formula One, certain names resonate as legends. Senna, Schumacher, Hamilton. But there's one name that, in less than a decade, has rewritten the history books and redefined what we thought possible in this sport. That name is Max Verstappen. At 27 years old, he has already accomplished what most drivers don't achieve in an entire career. More than 50 Grand Prix victories, 3 World Championships, and a collection of records that seems to grow with every season. But how did a young man from a small town on the Belgian-Dutch border become the dominant force of modern Formula One? To understand Max Verstappen, we need to go back well before his birth. We need to understand that speed, for him, wasn't a choice. It was a legacy. The Verstappen-Kumpen family is not an ordinary family. It's a racing dynasty that spans 3 generations. It all starts with Franz Kumpen, Max's maternal grandfather, a recognized karting driver in Belgium in the 70s and 80s. Franz passed his passion to his daughter Sophie, who would become one of the rare women to shine at the highest level of European karting. Sophie Kumpen started racing at 11 years old. In the 90s, she faced boys who would become famous names in Formula One: Giancarlo Fisichella, future Grand Prix winner; Jenson Button, future world champion; Nick Heidfeld, future BMW factory driver. Sophie didn't just participate, she won. In 1995, she won the prestigious Andrea Margutti Trophy, one of the most respected karting races in Europe. Her talent was such that Eddie Jordan and Peter Collins, 2 major figures in Formula One, publicly mentioned her potential to join the World Championship. But it was a different era. Opportunities for women in motorsport were rare, almost non-existent. Sophie never got her chance in Formula One, but she proved she had the talent. On the paternal side, the story is no less impressive. Jos Verstappen, Max's father, achieved the dream that Sophie could never realize. He reached Formula One. From 1993 to 2003, Jos raced 106 Grands Prix for teams like Benetton, Tyrrell, and Minardi. In the paddock, they nicknamed him Jos the Boss because of his aggressive and uncompromising driving style. In 1994, Jos was teammate to Michael Schumacher at Benetton, the year the German won his first world title. But that season is also remembered for a terrifying reason. During the German Grand Prix at Hockenheim during a pit stop, Jos's car caught fire. Flames engulfed the entire vehicle in seconds as fuel spilled everywhere. Jos escaped, but the incident was so dangerous that it forced the FIA to completely revise safety protocols during race refueling. Jos accumulated 17 points in his career and 2 podiums. It wasn't an exceptional career by Formula One standards, but he had tasted the highest level of motorsport, and most importantly, he knew exactly what it took to get there. When his son Max was born on September 30th, 1997, in Hasselt, Belgium, Jos already had a plan. Max Emilian Verstappen grew up in an environment where racing was omnipresent. Not just a family hobby, but a religion. At the age of 4, while most children are learning to ride a bike, Max was already behind the wheel of a cart. Jos wasted no time. But the education Jos gave Max was far from conventional. It was brutal, demanding, sometimes controversial. Jos would modify something on Max's kart without telling him what, then send him out on track. Max had to identify the change himself based on how the kart felt. A suspension adjustment? Different tire pressure? Modified balance? Max had to figure it all out alone. This unorthodox method created in Max a mechanical understanding of the car that few drivers possess today. Jos tolerated no mistakes. The most famous incident occurred when Max was 15. After a karting race in Naples where Max had made an error, Jos was furious. So furious that he abandoned his son at a gas station and left without him. Max was there, alone, hundreds of kilometers from home. It was finally Sophie who had to come pick him up. This anecdote shocked many people when it became public. Was it abuse? Joss saw it differently. For him, it was a lesson about responsibility, about the consequences of mistakes. In the ruthless world of Formula One, a single error can cost a championship, a career, or even a life. Joss wanted Max to understand that from the youngest age. But Joss didn't just demand excellence. He regularly beat Max during training sessions. He never let him win. Max had to earn every victory. At 7 years old, Max was already spending 8 to 10 hours a day training. Karting in the morning, fitness in the afternoon, data analysis in the evening. Then simulation and mental visualization before sleep. For a 7-year-old child, this was a regimen worthy of a professional athlete. During this period, Max was winning so many races that youth karting championship organizers began imposing weight penalties on him. They added extra kilograms to his cart to try to balance the competition. Even with these handicaps, Max kept winning. In 2005, at 7 years old, Max finished second in the Limburg Karting Championship Mini Junior. The following year, at 8, he began to dominate. In 2007, at 9 years old, he won the Rotax Max Challenge Belgium Minimax with 990 points. He became champion of Belgium and the Netherlands in the same year. It's at this moment that Joss makes a radical decision. He ends his own racing career to dedicate himself entirely to his sons. Joss becomes Max's manager, coach, mechanic, and mentor. Everything is now centered on transforming Max into a Formula One world champion. Max joins the CRG factory team, one of the largest kart manufacturers in the world. He begins racing in international championships, WSK World Series, European Championships, World Championships. Max now faces the best young drivers on the planet. And he wins. In 2010, he accumulates 3 first places, 2 second places, and 1 fifth place in different major championships. But the year that changes everything is 2013. Max is 15 years old. In February, he wins the KZ1 title in the WSK Euro Series. Then in September, in Varennes-sur-Allier, France, Max Verstappen makes history. He becomes the youngest driver of all time to win the KZ World Championship. KZ is the premier category of karting, 125 cubic centimeter karts with gearboxes, capable of reaching 150 kilometers per hour. It's the highest level before racing cars. During that final race, Max takes the lead on the 4th lap and never lets go. He completely dominates his opponents. That year, Max raced 70 karting races. He won 47. A 67% win rate at 15 years old against the best drivers in the world. It was unprecedented. But Max and Joss knew that karting was just a step. The ultimate goal was Formula One. In October 2013, Max does his first tests in a racing car. He gets into a Formula Renault and completes 160 laps at the Pembrey circuit in the United Kingdom. The engineers present are stunned. Max is immediately faster than drivers who have been racing in this category for a year. His adaptation is instant, almost superhuman. Then begins an extraordinary year, 2014. In January and February, Max participates in the Florida Winter Series, a Formula Renault competition that serves as a training ground for young drivers. Max wins races at Palm Beach International Raceway and Homestead Miami Speedway. He's only 16 and this is his first exposure to car racing. In March, Max makes the big leap. He enters the FIA European Formula 3 Championship with the Van Amersfoort racing team. F3 is considered the antechamber to Formula One. This is where great talents emerge. The first races are difficult. Max must adapt to a much higher level of competition. But during the 6th race at the Norris Ring in Germany, Max takes his first victory. He starts from pole position and dominates the race from start to finish. That's the trigger. Max chains victories together. By August, he already has 7. His performances attract the attention of the biggest teams in the world. and particularly that of Red Bull Racing. On August 12, 2014, Max does a test with the Red Bull Junior team in a Formula Renault 3.5 car. Helmut Marko, Red Bull's sporting advisor and legendary talent scout, observes every lap. What he sees astounds him. Max has no experience in this type of car, but he's immediately competitive. His technical understanding, his control, his raw speed, it's all there. Less than a week later, Red Bull makes an announcement that shakes the Formula One world. Max Verstappen, 16 years old, will drive for Toro Rosso, Red Bull's satellite team, during the 2015 season. Max will completely skip GP2, which was considered a mandatory step toward Formula One. It was a crazy gamble, a controversial decision. Many thought it was too early, too risky. On March 17, 2015, Max Verstappen makes his Formula One debut at the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne. He is 17 years and 166 days old. He shatters Jaime Alguersuari's record, who was 19 at his debut. Max becomes the youngest driver in Formula One history. He's so young that he doesn't even have his road driving license yet. He has to be driven to the circuit. The Australian race ends with a retirement due to engine problems, but Max has shown flashes of speed. 2 weeks later, in Malaysia, Max finishes 7th and scores his first Formula One points. He becomes the youngest person to score points in championship history. Throughout 2015, Max impresses. His speed is evident, but it's his maturity that surprises most. He drives like a veteran. No stupid mistakes, no panic, just pure speed and remarkable race intelligence. He finishes 4th in Budapest, matching Toro Rosso's best result of the season. But the real bombshell explodes in May 2016. Red Bull Racing makes an unprecedented decision. After only 4 races of the season, the team decides to promote Max to the main team and demote Daniel Kvyat to Toro Rosso. Max will race alongside Daniel Ricciardo, one of the fastest drivers on the grid. Many think it's too fast, that Max will be devoured by the pressure. Max's first race for Red Bull Racing is the Spanish Grand Prix in Barcelona. It's May 15, 2016. Max is 18 years and 228 days old. On the first lap, Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg, the 2 Mercedes drivers dominating the season, collide and both retire. This opens an opportunity, but an opportunity means nothing if you can't seize it. Max is 3rd after the incident. Ahead of him, Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari and Kimi Räikkönen in the other Ferrari. But as the race progresses, Max manages his tires better than anyone. He catches up to Räikkönen, overtakes him. Then he hunts down Vettel, a 4-time world champion. In the final laps, Max is on his tail. Vettel defends his position with all his experience, but Max is relentless. He finally finds the opening and passes. Max Verstappen crosses the finish line in 1st position. He has just won a Formula One Grand Prix. At 18 years and 228 days, he becomes the youngest winner in Formula One history. And it's his very first race for Red Bull. No one had ever won on their first Grand Prix with a new team since Giancarlo Baghetti in 1961. The paddock is in shock. This 18-year-old kid, who isn't even legal drinking age for champagne on the podium in some countries, has just beaten the best drivers in the world. Fernando Alonso, double world champion, declares, "It's impressive. He has incredible maturity for his age." Lewis Hamilton adds, "It's special. This kid has something different." But this victory is not a fluke. Over the following seasons, Max continues to prove his talent. In 2017, he wins 2 races and finishes 3rd in the championship behind the 2 Mercedes. In 2018, he wins 2 more races, including a legendary victory in the rain in Brazil, where he executes some of the most spectacular overtakes in recent Formula One history. On January 7, 2020, Red Bull Racing announces that Max has signed a contract extension through the end of 2023. The team is building its future around him. Max is no longer the young prodigy. He's now the team leader, the one on whom everything rests. The years 2019 and 2020 are frustrating. Max wins races, regularly gets on the podium, but Mercedes dominates the championship so much that the title seems out of reach. Lewis Hamilton chains championships together. Max finishes third in the championship in 2019 and 2020. He wins races, but it's not enough. What he wants is the World Championship. Then comes 2021. Red Bull has worked tirelessly to create a car capable of beating Mercedes. And for the first time in years, they succeed. The RB16B is competitive, very competitive. Max starts the season with a victory in Bahrain, passing Lewis Hamilton in the final laps. It's a signal. This year will be different. What follows is one of the most intense, most dramatic, and most controversial seasons in Formula One history. Max versus Lewis. The hungry young lion against the established champion, seeking a record 8th title. Race after race, they battle. Sometimes the battle is clean and spectacular. Other times, it crosses the line. At Silverstone, at the British Grand Prix, Hamilton attempts an aggressive overtake on Max in the fast cop's corner. The two cars touch. Max goes into the wall at over 280 kilometers per hour. The impact is measured at 51 G. It's a violent accident. Max is taken to the hospital for checks. Hamilton wins the race, but controversy rages. Was it a racing incident or a dangerous maneuver? At Monza in Italy, the roles are reversed. Max and Hamilton are fighting for position after a botched Hamilton pit stop. They arrive side by side into a chicane. Neither yields. Their wheels touch. Max's car rides up onto Hamilton's. Both drivers retire. The tension is at its peak. The championship comes down to the last Grand Prix. Abu Dhabi, last race of the season. Max and Lewis are tied perfectly on points. 269.5 points each. Whoever finishes ahead of the other will be world champion. It's the first time since 1994 that the championship is decided this way, in the last race with two drivers tied. Hamilton gets a better start. He leads most of the race. With 5 laps to go, everything seems to be playing in favor of the Briton. But Nicholas Latifi crashes into the wall. Safety car. Red Bull brings Max into the pits for new tires. Mercedes leaves Hamilton on track with worn tires, keeping first place. Then comes the most controversial decision in modern Formula One history. Race director Michael Masi decides to let only certain lapped cars through, those between Hamilton and Verstappen. The race restarts for one final lap. Max, with new tires, is directly behind Hamilton, who's running on tires with 40 laps of use. What follows is inevitable. Max attacks into turn 5. Hamilton defends, but his tires have no grip left. Max passes. Hamilton can do nothing. Max crosses the line in the lead. He is world champion. At 24 years old, Max Verstappen is Formula One world champion. Red Bull's celebration explodes, but Mercedes protests immediately. The case goes before the stewards. For an hour, no one knows if Max is really champion. Finally, the stewards confirm the result. Max Verstappen is officially world champion. But the controversy will never completely die. Michael Masi will be replaced as race director after this season. For Max, it doesn't matter how it happened. He is world champion. That's all that matters. He withstood the pressure of fighting against the greatest driver of his generation over an entire season. He never cracked. It was the ultimate validation of everything his father had taught him, of all the sacrifices, of all the training hours since he was 4 years old. But Max is not satisfied. One title is not enough. He wants more. In 2022, Red Bull presents the RB18, a car designed according to the new technical regulations. And this car is a war machine. Max doesn't just win, he dominates. He wins 15 races out of 22. It's a new record for most victories in a single season. He beats Hamilton's points record set the previous year. He wins his second world title 4 races before the end of the season in Japan. It's total domination. But even that is nothing compared to what will follow in 2023. The season starts in Bahrain. Max wins. Saudi Arabia. Max wins. Australia. Max wins. Again and again. Max chains victories together. At his home Grand Prix in Zandvoort, he equals Sebastian Vettel's record of 9 consecutive victories set in 2013. Then, at Monza the following week, he beats it. 10 consecutive victories. It's unprecedented. Out of the 22 races of the season, Max wins 19. 19! He only loses 3 races, finishing second in Singapore and Qatar, and 6th in Singapore during a difficult weekend. His level of dominance is such that he leads 1,003 laps out of 1,205 possible in the season. 83% of all racing laps of the year. He literally controls the championship. Max Verstappen wins his 3rd consecutive world title. At only 26 years old, he has 3 championships. He is at the same point in his career where Ayrton Senna had 3 titles, where Michael Schumacher had 3. He potentially has a decade of career ahead of him. In 2024, Max starts the year with a victory in Bahrain, setting the fastest lap in the race and scoring 26 points. Then he wins in Saudi Arabia. This extends his streak of consecutive races in the points to 43. 1,055 points over 43 races. He beats Lewis Hamilton's record. It's a streak that began at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix in 2022 and continues to extend. Max Verstappen's statistics are now mind-boggling. More than 50 Grand Prix victories, more than 100 podiums, 3 world championships, the youngest driver in history, the youngest winner, most consecutive victories, most victories in a season, best win rate of all time. Out of his last 100 races, Max has won 50, a 50% rate. In the long term, no modern-era driver approaches these numbers. But beyond statistics, it's the way Max drives that sets him apart. His car control is exceptional. He can drive with an aggressive style when necessary, or be conservative to manage a race. His ability to manage his tires while maintaining a fast pace is among the best on the grid. In the rain, he's considered the best since Ayrton Senna. Max's technical feedback is also exceptional. His engineers say his car descriptions are among the most accurate and detailed in the paddock. He can explain exactly what the car is doing in every corner, at every speed, how it reacts to setup changes. This understanding comes directly from his father's training method when he was a child, when Jos would modify the kart and make him guess what had changed. Mentally, Max is a machine. He meditates daily and uses advanced visualization techniques. Before each race, he mentally drives the circuit in his head, anticipating every corner, every potential overtaking zone, every scenario that could occur. During race weekends, he sleeps 10 hours per night to optimize his concentration. He follows a strictly controlled diet and trains 5 to 6 times per week, even during the season. But there's another aspect of Max that few people know about. He's passionate about sim racing, computer racing simulation. Max spends hours on his personal simulator. Even after real racing days, he participates in online races and has created his own sim racing events. He has even won several virtual races at the 24 Hours of Le Mans and the iRacing World Championship. For Max, sim racing is not a game. It's another way to refine his skills. Outside the track, Max leads a relatively discreet life. He lives in Monaco, like many drivers. He's in a relationship with Kelly Piquet, daughter of 3-time world champion Nelson Piquet. Kelly has a daughter, Penelope, whom Max is very close to. Max has 2 Bengal cats, Jimmy and Sassy. who even have their own Instagram accounts with thousands of followers. He often takes his cats with him in his private jet when he travels. Max rarely talks about the sacrifices he had to make to get where he is. No normal childhood, no free time, no vacations unrelated to racing. Since the age of 4, his entire life has been structured around a single goal: becoming Formula One world champion. And he did it 3 times. But here's what makes Max even more interesting. He recently revealed that he doesn't plan to have a long Formula One career. Unlike other drivers who want to race until they're 40, Max wants to retire relatively young. He said, "I won't be there at 40. When I no longer enjoy it, I'll stop. I want to win as much as possible, then enjoy life." It's a fascinating perspective. Max is not motivated by money or fame. He's already earned tens of millions. He's already famous worldwide. What motivates him is pure competition, the desire to win. And when that desire disappears, Max will leave, no matter how much money they offer him to stay. Max's impact on Formula One goes beyond his victories. He has triggered a massive wave of new fans, particularly in the Netherlands. The Orange Army, as it's called, is a tide of Dutch supporters dressed in orange who travel around the world to see him race. At the Dutch Grand Prix in Zandvoort, the circuit transforms into an orange sea. More than 100,000 people come to see their hero. It's a cultural phenomenon. Max has also inspired thousands of children to start karting. In the Netherlands and Belgium, enrollments in karting clubs have exploded. All these children want to be the next Max Verstappen. Ironically, following Max's success, the FIA changed the rules to increase the minimum age for entering Formula One to 18, with stricter super license requirements. Max could no longer make his debut today the way he did at 17. So where does Max Verstappen's story go from here? At 27 years old, with 3 world championships and more than 50 victories, he's already one of the greatest drivers of all time. If he continues at this pace for 5 or 6 more years, he could have 6 or 7 world championships. He could have 100 victories. He could completely rewrite all the record books. But perhaps what makes Max truly special isn't just what he's accomplished. It's how he accomplished it. Since the age of 4, he's been training for this moment. A controversial, sometimes brutal education, but undeniably effective. Jos Verstappen created a winning machine. Sophie Kumpen passed on her natural talent and fluidity. And Max combined all of that with a superhuman work ethic and a killer instinct. Max Verstappen is not just a fast driver. He's a product of 3 generations of motorsport, a training program that started before he could walk, and an absolute determination to be the best. When you watch Max behind the wheel of a Formula One car, you don't just see a man. You see the culmination of decades of family passion, sacrifices, and total dedication to a single goal. In the world of motorsport, some drivers are fast, others are intelligent, a few are brave. But Max Verstappen is all of that at once. He's fast, intelligent, brave, and mentally unbreakable. He has beaten all the records, he has defeated all his opponents, and he's only 27 years old. Max Verstappen's story is not yet finished. In fact, it may just be beginning. But one thing is certain. When the history of Formula One is written, Max Verstappen's name will be engraved among the greatest. Senna, Prost, Schumacher, Hamilton, and Verstappen. This is the story of a prodigy, the story of a champion, the story of Max Verstappen. If you enjoyed this documentary, drop a comment below and let us know which Formula One driver you'd like to see featured in our next documentary. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button so you never miss any of our Formula One documentaries. See you in the next one.